when I look at Jake Paul, the Kai Cenats, the actual speed, I haven't figured out the speed yet, but I genuinely think Jake Paul is like the Gym Tan Laundry, the Jersey Shore, but IRL kind of bravado that like that we had it with mainstream media on TV. Now we have it with streaming. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Jake Paul is a controversial figure, and so are the Paul brothers. But Jake Paul specifically has this better app, and Jake Paul's new business will destroy the $102 billion betting industry. Not because they transformed the and the unimpressively popular number 3 podcast. I actually sit down and listen through a whole one. It was very hard to get through an episode of Talk Tua, let me tell you. But because they cracked the code of Gen Z. So if you could take something that's very mediocre and turn it to number 3 podcast on Spotify, Jake is doing something right. First, Jake and Joey built a multi-billion-dollar sports empire by breaking every rule in the playbooks. In 18 months, in just freaking 18 months since they started better, which is actually crazy. Because about 18 months ago, I was like, man, I wonder where this is going to be in about 18 months. Well, it's amassed 7 million followers, generated 4 billion impressions, and captured 500K in paying users. They've already generated $500,000 thus far. Actually insane.
And life is a game, and we're playing real life Monopoly.
Nah, life's just a beach you we playing in the sand.
And since I was 17 years old, I went to Silicon Valley with my friend for about a week.
Imagine being able to be at 17 and having the resources to go into Silicon Valley and like cracking the knuckles and be like, we're doing an app.
And I thought it was the coolest thing ever, the challenges of these startups. I went to Uber, Google, Twitter at the time, and I saw all of these people working towards these goals and the feats that they were achieving. I think when I went to Google, they were like first experimenting with AI or like quantum computing or some crazy thing. And I was like, I couldn't even comprehend it as a 17-year-old.
I don't even think you can comprehend it now. And to be honest, I don't think I could understand quantum computing because that shit is a whole nother level. But once more, imagine being 17 and having that resource to be able to go to Google and be like, damn, this is what working on AI looks like, huh? That's y'all's quantum computer? Neat. Looks like something out of Tony Stark. I thought that was the arc reactor out of Iron Man.
From Ohio.
Telling me that shit's real?
So I saw these people changing the world, the challenges they were facing, the levels they were surmounting to, and I think that has been within me. And I saw these people, and I got to talk to these CEOs, and I was like, they're really no different than anybody else. Like if they can do this and achieve these huge things.
I mean, he's not wrong. At the end of the day, these high-level CEOs, these high-performing humans, they are no different than me and you. They just had some discipline and a lot of work ethic and applied themselves. So if you want to be a high-performing person, you want to pull yourself out of whatever you're at, look at all the people that are having high success, see the similarities in all of them, find the habits that are shared amongst all of them, and start applying that habit into your life, whatever you discover. But for Jake, it all started with a chance encounter in Miami. Jake Paul was dominating social media and disrupting boxing, while his business partner Joey Levy had just revolutionized sports betting with Simple Bet. But their paths would have a chance to cross. So this is his business partner over here. Got it right.
What did you see in Jake that made you really give up half of your company to him?
First and foremost, I'm a big believer in
impressions, monetization, attention. Who's on the pulse of it?
When you build a business with somebody, not to have this sort of wonky set of incentives where one individual who, if you're truly a co-founder, I think co-founders should have equal amounts of equity unless there's some level of extenuating circumstances where that doesn't make sense. So that's kind of how I wanted to approach this from day one, where if I was going to have a co-founder in this business, because as you know, David, and I don't know if the better story is out there, but I started my prior business, Simple Bet, to be a direct-to-consumer company and ultimately do what we're effectively doing it better. And I was on a mission to spin out direct-to-consumer, from Simplebet and go after Better. And initially I was going to do it, myself. When I met Jake and spent a lot of time with him, and I think you touched upon this a couple of minutes ago, it's not just the 70 million followers across social media, which obviously brings a pretty tremendous unfair advantage from a customer acquisition standpoint.
Yeah.
It's really the marketing genius that I don't think a lot of people candidly have, and Jake has the track record to really speak to that. And
I mean, that is fair. If you're trying to get into sports betting, you're trying to make some money. There's no better people to get involved with than like KSI, Logan Paul, and Jake Paul, because they definitely know how to make some money. Pokimane tried with cookies. She flopped and failed. These guys, even though they're hated, continue to make hand over fist amount of money.
Just the level of focus and discipline, and I would say one of the things that Jake and I really have in common is the level of ambition we have. Anything less than a $10 billion publicly traded outcome for Better would basically be considered a failure, I think, from our perspective.
Nice. I mean, he's definitely not wrong in the sense that Jake has a business mind that most people just don't understand. But the vision was radical. They didn't just build a betting app. They created an entirely new category that combines viral sports content with simple gaming mechanics and cultural relevance.
For people to interact with them. I mean, everything we do at Better, really the primary emphasis of the company is to design sports gaming experiences that are simple and intuitive enough for people to interact with them, even if they've never played fantasy sports before or bet on sports before. And I think we've accomplished that, particularly with the Better Picks product experience, which
there's going to be a lot of people who it may be shocking to you. There's still a large amount of people who watch sports just for the entertainment of sports and aren't into sports betting. So there's still an untapped market of people who are going to try to eventually, maybe one day, put in $5, gamble $1 here, gamble $1 there, and then all of a sudden they get a big win. Then they put in $20, and that 20 turns into 50, and so on and so on. Hopefully, it stays in a spot where it's responsible, right? To each his own. But it could definitely be a slippery slope.
We rolled out.
I don't even know where that was going. But just be careful.
Just 2 months ago on September 5th, ahead of the beginning of the NFL season, and it's immediately become one of the fastest growing products, not just in the industry today, but I think in the history of the U.S. Sports gaming industry. And we're excited to roll out V1 of our sportsbook next year.
I'm not saying it is the greatest of all time, but it is on track to be the greatest of all time.
And really have a sportsbook business, a fantasy business that is already very successful, and then ultimately expand into other verticals. But really, this is about that incremental TAM of the casual sports fan who doesn't know what a -175 money line means, doesn't know what a +5.5 point spread means, doesn't know what a 49.5 O/year means.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of sports bettor is me. He's talking to me. Most sports companies spend billions on TV ads and celebrity endorsements, but Better did the opposite. They built everything organic and viral content for us. The strategy worked better than anyone expected. The $5 million Better warehouse reveal with Jake Paul, I mean, still 702K views. That's a lot of views, but for $5 million, I don't know if that actually got it to return. In their first year, 500K, once more, 500,000 in paid users, 4 billion in social impressions, 7 million in followers, and 550 million impressions during the Paul Tyson fight, all without traditional advertising. Let's break down the Genius Strategy Part 2. I mean, this is ultimately going to be everything around Jake and Mike Tyson, leading up to everything around this lead up and this fight. But let's break it down. Part 1, Better Media. Most sports content in stale highlight reels and recycled clips, but Better, once more, went the opposite direction, with original personality-driven shows, behind-the-scenes access, and real-world activations.
Fair game at this time. The quick answer to that is we're building a media company to accomplish that, right? And there's really 3 things that we're predominantly focused on at Better right now. So one is low to no CAC. In Ohio, for example, and again, we're deliberately not playing the market share game at this time, really trying to prove out these 3 things that I'm going to outline for you guys. So with respect to low to no CAC, we're building this media company that is focused on original and short form content, led by Jake Paul from a content standpoint, but we know we're going to fail if we're synonymous with just being the Jake Paul Sportsbook. We want the next 100 Jake Pauls to come through Better Media. And obviously nobody really better than Jake himself to be sort of the godfather of this talent network. And we're surrounding him with really great
He's saying the right things. I will give him that. He is definitely saying all the right things.
Content development expertise, production expertise. We have an awesome head of media who helped build BR Betting into the #1 sports betting media brand in the country. So in Ohio, for example, we have to extrapolate some of this data because Instagram and TikTok don't tell us exactly, how many people in Ohio we have. But we estimate that over 20% of our social media audience in Ohio converted to real money gaming products in just the first 2 months.
If that statistic is true, that's downright incredible. That is diabolical guerrilla marketing right there, because what he's saying is going against the market share. So how most advertising companies look at it is they're going to have like a general region like Atlanta, and Atlanta is going to have let's say an available, we're going to use small numbers, 1 million market share. There's a lot more, but we're just going to keep it simple. They have 1 million market shares. So that means that market share is like their inventory. One market share is one inventory, and they're selling that inventory to all of the companies and saying, hey, we have 1 million impressions. Who wants 1 million impressions? As people are going to start bidding and saying, hey, I'll pay X amount for 200 or for 2 million impressions, or whatever the smaller size is. And as the inventory gets lower and lower and saying, hey, we can guarantee this X amount of impression, the price gets higher and higher. And that's why they're saying we can't compete with that, because as the price gets higher and higher, if you're trying to compete with these market shares, if you want a large percentage of it, it's going to cost a lot of pesos. But if you're going in and saying, hey, we know who our audience is, we know exactly how to fine tune this, we're going to go against it, we're going to carve our own lane, right? There's a lot less traffic if we just stay in our own lane, and also a lot less money spent.
And we could get a lot better with media too, but that, from our standpoint, is best in class, unprecedented conversion to real money gaming.
That's huge. Their flagship show, BS with Jake Paul, features A-list guests like Tyreek Hill, Rick Ross, and Tyler Hero. But it's not your typical interview show. Raw and filmed conversations plus viral moments equal content that spreads. There's the 100X Club with Marco Promotti.
Hit him like that!
What the hell?
You were right about the whole world being against you, because your
This is Tyreek Hill.
first fight, I think the whole team would get your ass. We had you on the big screen going to get Nate Robinson. Well,
Hey,
get his ass, Nate. Get his ass, Nate.
Yeah.
Then Nate hit that drum, boy.
Like, oh,
Everybody can start getting up like, damn, I ain't let her hit him like that.
I think
Funny as hell.
I already know. After that one, that's when people realized, oh shit, this isn't a joke. You know what I mean? And I think people started to realize, that I was very, very serious about this and had a real talent for it. But
Tyreek's like, what the fuck you talking about?
I've heard a lot of stories about everyone who was rooting against me in Nate Robinson. I was actually the underdog. A lot of people don't know that. Like in the betting favorites, I was the underdog.
In all your fights or what?
Not all of them, but after that, after I knocked out Nate Robinson, I wasn't the underdog anymore. But this next one, we have an announcement coming up, and I'm going to be fighting in October. I can't say the name yet, but
I think we all know who it is.
I probably will be the underdog. So
In that fight, he definitely kind of was, but at the same time, he fought Mike Tyson, which was like a 60-year-old man. So you got a dude who's literally, if you double his age, Mike Tyson is still older, and he's going to get into the ring with that guy. I mean,
it's exciting. It's going to be a tough challenge, but we're prepared. We're about to get back into camp here. We're going back to Puerto Rico. Had a little break after the last fight got canceled, and time to get back into the lab.
I mean, that seems like a kind of a dope little podcast, or at least that's just genuine Jake moment. Like, if you like Jake Paul and his kind of content, that's what it is. And he's trying to grow that, and the following seems to be a lot of people that are picking up what he's putting down. He hit multiple $3 million parlays in 2022. Instead of just showing wins, they documented his journey, wins and losses, everything. This isn't content, it's reality TV for the betting generation. Then came their biggest hit. Enter Talk Tua. When Haley Welch's Hawk Tua went viral, the most saw meme, Better saw an opportunity to capture lightning in a bottle. They launched her podcast in September, and what happened next was unprecedented. Within weeks, Talk to Us shot up to number 5 in the Spotify's charts, ahead of giants like The Daily and Call Her Daddy. The Secret, raw, authentic, A-list celebrity plus a Southern charm equals entertainment gold. Oh, God.
Yeah,
Can you officiate my wedding?
absolutely. Whenever you and Pookie get married, just let me know. I'll be right there.
Sounds good to me.
It'll be cracking.
You can be my maid of honor. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chelsea. You're gonna take a step back.
What
for
am
this
I
one.
gonna be?
How did like this is what's more? How did Wiz go from like, hey, can you officiate it to being like the maid of honor? You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Not my cup of tea. But if that's your cup of tea, hey, to each their own. Number 2, better picks. Let's be real. Young people don't want super complex interfaces and math-like experiences when betting. That's where Better changed the game. They completely reimagined fantasy sports with a simpler player predictions, fast, fun gameplay, and social features. They pioneered Micro Fantasy, which is a non-complex spreadsheet and does not have overwhelming stats. Just pure entertainment that anyone can enjoy. But this is when shit starts to get interesting.
Joe Burrow for more than 265.5 passing yards, and I'm taking Nick Chubb for more than 88.5 rushing yards.
You know who also does this really well, and we'll see this during the Call of Duty season, is Breaking Point. Breaking Point has a really good like fantasy kind of element to where it's like, who do you think Dashy's gonna go plus or over kills? And you're like, Dashy's always gonna go over kills. Really, if it's selling him, if sell's on the line, just go for the over. You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Download Better. It's the best fantasy sports app to play right now.
Plug. These two created a powerful flywheel with media that attracts millions of people, gaming that converts viewers into payers, which that's the big one right there, and simplicity that keeps it simple, stupid, because it keeps players coming back for more. This masterstroke isn't just what they built, it's how they built it. And honestly, if we're going to wrap this up, truthfully, when I look at Jake Paul, the Kai Cenats, the actual speed, I haven't figured out the speed yet. But I genuinely think Jake Paul is like the Gym Tan Laundry, the Jersey Shore, but IRL kind of bravado that like that we had it with mainstream media on TV. Now we have it with streaming. For those of you who watch like iCarly, now we have Kai Cenat and his stream. That's like iCarly, but like IRL streaming, just changes the game. And then Speed is another one who I think deserves the same amount of credit. Aiden Ross, all of these big level guys who are just insane in the membrane when in terms of like reach, audience, influence, being able to convert their viewers into actual subscriptions, which turns into revenue. All of these guys to me are just the same painting of what we grew up on mainstream media, but now it's painted on a different canvas. Instead of it being on mainstream media, it's now on Twitch, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, which I argue now is mainstream media. I mean, heck, X is going to be eventually everything, but I'm going to go, I'm too far off on my rant. If you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, please like and subscribe. I kind of react to everything on the internet, and the reason being is I want you guys just to I want to build an audience where it's just authentically about like, hey, what am I interested in? What are you guys interested in? And we're all kind of working here together, and it's going to be a diverse little melting pot of things. So buckle up for the ride, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.